help tell the story of truth or lack of truth by donating to the production costs of The Truth About Truth. The correspondence theory of truth is at its core an ideological thesis. A belief is true if there exists an appropriate entity, a fact, to which it corresponds. If there is no such entity, the belief is false and becomes a lie. Does humanity need truth to exist? Should humans eliminate the concept of truth and never have to be lied to again?
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Clinton later admitted to having a 2-year sexual relationship with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel.
In the United States itself, at the end of the 19th century, a third of the entire federal revenues were from tobacco taxes. So tobacco has been a huge source of revenue for states throughout the world, and that's one of the main reasons governments are so reluctant to take any reasonable steps to halt the epidemic.
There are 7.1 million deaths contributed to smoking every year. Smoking is a $300 billion per year industry. This includes the hospital costs of correcting the damage caused by inhaling carcinogenic smoke into human lungs.
The failure of American news media to check government distortion reached new heights when, on the eve of war, the highly respected Secretary of State Colin Powell appeared before the United Nations to make the case that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Saddam Hussein's intentions have never changed. He is not developing the missiles for self-defense. These are missiles that Iraq wants in order to project power, to threaten, and to deliver chemical, biological, and, if we let him, nuclear warheads.
The Iraq War generated $4.7 trillion of commerce and killed 1 million Iraqis. No weapons of mass destruction were ever found in Iraq.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Within days, it was clearer and clearer that there had been no attack.
I shall immediately request the Congress to pass a resolution.
President Johnson was determined to prevent a communist victory in South Vietnam. He twisted the facts of the Tonkin Gulf incident to persuade Congress to give him unlimited authority to use military force. He then launched a war that would last another 11 years.
The Vietnam War killed 400,000 Vietnamese and 55,000 Americans. The Vietnam War created $900 billion of commerce. World Trade Center Tower Number 7. Tower 7 was not hit by a jet and had no jet fuel burning inside, but it collapsed into its own footprint at 5 p.m. on 9/11.
What?
The explosives and the fire.
Well, let me put it this way. There's a very elegant and straightforward to understand perceived method that causes this building to come down, and that's the issue of thermal expansion. It's very straightforward. It's based on sound science, and it is consistent with all the observations we have, and it's consistent with the fact that the fires were on the lower floors of the building.
A 57-story office building disintegrates and warrants absolutely no mention in the official 9/11 report. An average fire melts steel at every stress point at exactly the same instant. Americans are told to ignore what they saw.
It's a distant fact now, but Enron was once the 7th largest corporation in America. They revolutionized trading and the energy market. They were far smarter than their competitors, and their business was intricate and too complex for the average person to understand. Except, in reality, it was all a big scam filled with lies, fraud, and political manipulation. Enron was the biggest scam in US history. The fallout from the scam was monumental. Billions of dollars stolen, thousands of lost jobs, dozens of convictions, one suicide, and the unveiling of a very public display of corporate greed that shined directly into the heart of corporate America.
The Enron scandal drew attention to accounting and corporate fraud, as its shareholders lost $74 billion in the 4 years leading up to its bankruptcy, and its employees lost billions in pension benefits.
Afternoon. I have several announcements. Every doctor, every hospital, every nurse have been notified. Every woman in this country must be aware that it's most important that they check their medicine cabinet and that they do not take this drug.
In the early 1960s, no drug struck more fear into the hearts of pregnant women.
One of the most horrifying episodes in medical history.
Than thalidomide. It changed our relationship with the drugs we use.
One reason U.S. drug laws are so strict, thalidomide.
And became an example of what many saw as corporate greed at its worst.
British thalidomide children so far have not received any compensation from the rich company that made the drug which crippled them so brutally.
In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the use of thalidomide in pregnant women in 46 countries resulted in the biggest man-made medical disaster ever, resulting in more than 10,000 children born with a range of severe deformities.
After building a better telescope, Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei found evidence to support Nicholas Copernicus's theory that the Earth isn't the center of the universe. Galileo had observed 4 objects moving around Jupiter. He suggested that if these moons revolved around Jupiter and not the Earth, then the Earth couldn't be the center of the universe. The Church wanted Galileo to withdraw his scientific statements because they went against its teachings. The Church had long stated that the Earth was the center of the universe and everything revolved around it. The Church decreed that it would not tolerate such thinking. Only the clergy could interpret the Bible. It wasn't long before the Catholic Church had Galileo arrested and charged with heresy.
The Catholic Church would hold on to its lie that the Earth was the center of the universe for 200 additional years. Does humanity need truth to exist? Should humans eliminate the concept of truth and never have to be lied to again? Please help tell the story of truth or lack of truth by donating to the production costs of The Truth About Truth.